Dear President, first of all, thank you very much for hosting me today in Kosovo. And I think it's fair to say that we had a very frank, open and fruitful discussion this morning, which I'm really grateful for you. And I think that we have touched upon all the elements of progress Kosovo has achieved in the past. And I think if there is one very clear message from the meeting we had, but also a very clear message coming always from Pristina and Kosovo, and that is that Kosovo is determined on its European path. So we hear you loud and clear. And you have repeatedly shown your commitment not only in words, but also in joining us through clear commitments to our positions when it comes to Russia's aggression against Ukraine, including the introduction of sanctions and full alignment to our policies in that. This is very much valued and cherished in Europe. Because, of course, in the midst of the geopolitical challenges this war is causing, we have also some good news to share, because it's not only bad news that the world is creating, because as the President already mentioned, from the 1st of January next year, Kosovo citizens will also be able to travel visa-free to the European Union. This is a long overdue promise from the European side, something that we have been able to deliver together with the government of Kosovo, thanks to their commitment also to change things on the ground, not only in commitment to European values, but also to work with us to convince also our member states on an everyday basis that the visa-free travel is also in our interest. So I think this common success will be felt by everybody in the country, and I do hope that it not only be felt, but used to a large extent. Now, of course, we also discussed the state of play when it comes to the reforms. This is one of the purpose of the visit. We are coming with the annual report. At this time of the year, we always reach out to our partners in the Western Balkans and other candidate countries to discuss how far they have reached in the last year on delivering the reforms. I think that it is very important that reforms need to be not only continued but accelerated. We need to improve the implementation of the overall legal framework, but we also have to see the track record of all the reforms that have been done. So how do they work out in practice? This is also a critical element. We touched upon, for example, the judicial system, because the overall administration of the judicial system continues to be slow, inefficient, vulnerable, and there are cases of undue influence. I think we have agreed with Madam President that this is a major challenge to overcome still, and therefore we welcome the commitment of the government to improve the justice system in line, fully in line with the recommendations from the Venice Commission. Kosovo also needs to work on the implementation of the legal framework in the fight against corruption. Strong political will is needed to address the systemic corruption and high-level corruption cases, and as well as we need final court decisions and asset confiscation, meaning that the policy is being enforced fully with the full force of the law, and corruption networks are dismantled. We welcome here as well the determination of the government, but now it is time to implement all the policies that they have designed. It is equally important to continue the fight against organized crime. We see that Kosovo is at an early stage but took a number of successful operations involving cooperation with international partners, our member states, and also other bilateral cooperation and cross-border projects. As regards the freedom of expression, Kosovo has a pluralistic media environment. However, the public smear campaigns, threats, and physical attacks on journalists need to stop, and we need everybody to work to protect the media from such campaigns. We briefly touched upon also the economic situation, because of course everybody is affected by the energy crisis. You have seen that Europe reached out to the entire region. We have already dispersed our 75 million euro support package to help the most vulnerable households, but also the SMEs, to cope with the rising energy prices. And we will continue to be on your side. We will continue to be ready to help. We see that the economic rebound was very strong after the COVID crisis. That was very good news, but now we see some weakening. This is also due to the war of aggression of Russia against Ukraine. So we need now the government to tackle the structural challenges in the economy. Because Kosovo needs to boost its growth and competitiveness. There's a huge opportunity in front of Kosovo. There's a huge potential to become an investor's hub. Kosovo is strategically placed, but for that we need to work together and create the right investors' climate, meaning also connectivity. On our programs, Madam President already mentioned one of the programs that we're going to launch today, and that is a 6.5 million euros program, the so-called Home Affairs program, that aims to increase Kosovo's capacity to fight against organized crime. And through this program, we will also be able to enhance the investigative and operational capacities of the Kosovo Police and Kosovo Academy of Public Safety, because they are the critical mass when it comes to fighting on the ground organized crime, corruption, terrorism, cybersecurity, forensic operations, border management, migration. They have a lot to do, and they need to have more means. And we are ready to deliver these means also ourselves. And we will, of course, remain committed to helping Kosovo in every way we can, including our financial assistance. You have seen that from the 30 billion euros economic and investment plan for the Western Balkans, we have been mobilizing already substantial package of funding for Kosovo. Since 2021, we have already moved 312 million euros of grants to this country. And we have altogether mobilized 635 million euros of investments through our means, through the economic and investment plan in Kosovo. For this to be operational, for this to bring the added economic value and the growth potential that they were designed to deliver, we need the common regional market to function. So we encourage Kosovo to be a front runner also in this. You have been ratifying as first that the agreements reached in the Berlin process, but this process needs to go ahead. We need more areas where, under the EU standards, we can deliver Europe to the Western Balkans much earlier. And finally, we touched briefly on the dialogue. We think that progress has been made. The last year, it is now essential that both parties deliver and implement the obligations without delay, because we need to keep the momentum going, and we need to move forward with the implementation of it immediately. It's enough to quote the European Council conclusions from February this year, which says that the European Council urges both parties to implement fully and without conditions the obligations they committed to in the framework of the dialogue, including the agreements from the years 2013 and 2015, to create an association community of Serb majority municipalities. The purpose of my visit here is not to remind Kosovo, or not only to remind Kosovo of this, but also to put one additional element to the discussion that I hope will help to even accelerate the implementation, and that is that we are ready on our side to provide targeted, additional, substantial economic investment program for the region most affected by the dialogue, and the region that should benefit from a successful dialogue. For that reason, we want to listen to you, we want to hear you. What could create growth and jobs and long-term prosperity in that region where unemployment runs the highest in the continent, where the social deprivation is one of the highest in Europe. So Europe is here to ensure that the successful dialogue will also mean success for the people for whom the dialogue should bring result. Thank you very much.
Faleminderit për pranin tuaj.